Hey guys, the Fire Brothers here. It's just me, and today I'm bringing you a pretty requested video from you guys, and I kinda procrastinated on doing this video for a long time, but better late than never. So anyways, I was initially gonna do a video talking about all the characters that we see on Cybertron, like the ones hidden in the background to see if they're, actual characters or generic Autobots. But then I ran into a problem, and that problem being that some of the images that I got from the scenes are pretty low quality. And I feel like it would be better if I wait until the Blu-ray gets released. Once that Blu-ray gets released, I'm gonna do a video talking about the Cybertron scenes, because there's a lot of characters in the background that could be actual characters, but there's also tons of interesting details on Cybertron, like the streets, the fighting that's going on, who's shooting who. Like, I know there's a lot of fun stuff that you guys will enjoy, but I think I'll wait for the DVD, just so you guys can get a better visualization of what's going on. But anyways, today, we're talking about Dropkicks Weapon, and more specifically, what is it, how does it work, like the science behind it. And I can proudly say that after seeing 5 hours of people popping, doing a lot of research on Google, Wikipedia, and YouTube comments, I found not really a conclusion, but I found some set of explanations that kind of fit this pretty well, and I think I'm on the right track. But before we go on, first we must analyze Dropkick's Weapon, like every single detail about it. So what I found about it is that we know it's a heat-based weapon, and the reason why I know this is because the gun lights up, and light usually means heat, like temperature, because when Dropkick aims his gun at humans and Autobots, you can see a glow like the sun, so meaning that his weapon is most likely a heat-based weapon. Secondly, is that his weapon has multiple functions. At the beginning, I always believed that all that Dropkick's weapon does is, just pop people. Actually, for the sake of simplicity, instead of saying Dropkick's Weapon, I'm gonna call it the Popper. There, it makes our jobs easier. Okay, so the Popper apparently can switch between variations. We got the standard variation that turns people into slime, and then we got a missile variation. During his fight against Bumblebee, we can actually see that out of the Popper, he shoots out a missile, meaning that it's a variation weapon, like depending on the situation, he can change it to whatever setting he wants. The third point we need to talk about is how he kills humans. Now, you might be thinking that they just disintegrate into slime, but that's not really the case. If you look at the frames before the humans explode, you can actually see that they grow fat before exploding, like a balloon about to be burst. But what's more interesting is that you can see water coming out. It's not like an explosion like what happened with the Bumblebee, it's actual water or liquid. I'm still not sure what it is. And it's not like everything gets disintegrated. As far as I can see, when it comes to flesh, bones, all those disgusting organs, it all gets turned into this liquid, but the clothing remains. As you can see in this image, there are pieces of clothing of the human just bursting out. So apparently it affects the flesh and stuff, organic material basically. And if you look at the liquid that bursts out, you can see that there's a lot. That's almost equivalent to the total amount of water a person has inside of them. It's an interesting detail. And the next piece of interesting trivia is that when Bumblebee is about to be shot, you can actually see that Dropkick doesn't shoot Bumblebee. Like there's no burst of energy coming out of his gun like most Transformer guns. From what you can see here, there's heat coming out of Bumblebee and then he just explodes. This means that the Popper is not a projectile weapon, so it's not like something you can visually see him shoot. It's like something that's invisible, like a gas or something. And we need to keep in mind that this weapon is strong enough to make humans pop, but when it comes to Transformers, it looks like it just creates an explosion inside of them. So, what is the weapon? Well, since it's a heat-based weapon, I was imagining that it could be a plasma gun. Much like the guns in Fallout 4 that melt people, I was thinking that this fits. Number one, plasma is basically heat, so it would match with the, weapon being a heat-based weapon. And if the water, the liquid, let's say it's not water, let's say it's something like waste disposal or radiation or whatever, then that could work, because in Fallout 4, when you shoot someone with a plasma gun, they turn into goo, much like the humans do here. The problem here is that while we can explain the weapon and explain the liquid, we really cannot explain how does it happen. How does the plasma gets inside the human and makes them burst? I figured the plasma should just burn the human more than anything, not really make them burst. And also there's the problem that, let's say that this turns into, let's say that the liquid, the water, it is radiation. It is like some kind of weird plasma goo or whatever. That should still be hot because plasma is hot, guys. It's really hot. So this lady should be burned or should be dead, and Charlie should also be dead when she's touching Bumblebee. This is the one flaw with the radiation theory. Maybe you can say that the plasma is like explodes inside of them, and I mean, yeah, sure, whatever. But even if you explain that, it doesn't explain the liquid. We don't really have confirmation whether it's, you know, actual water or it's like waste radiation disposal. Because if it is, these two should be dead on impact. My second theory is that it's some kind of weird heat rate thing. And this actually kind of does make sense. If you guys don't know about human combustion, it's something that happens to some humans randomly. They explode out of nowhere, like an explosion happens inside of them. That's an actual thing, by the way, but do not be alarmed. It's like 1 in a million, so it's probably not gonna happen to you. What I'm thinking here is that Dropkick does something to the molecules inside the human body and it makes them explode like human combustion. That explains how the weapon works, how, you know, the human bursts out of nowhere. But the problem is that that doesn't explain the liquid again. With human combustion, usually, the body doesn't entirely turn into ash, but there's plenty of ash around because, you know, the body got burned. And also, that would mean that the liquid shouldn't be possible because it should be evaporated into gas, which is something that doesn't happen here. While the plasma explains how the goo can happen and, you know, maybe the explosion, this theory proves how, you know, Dropkick actually managed to make the human pop. But we don't know about the goo or how the human bursts out, you know? If anything, I would imagine your body just turns into fire. And for the third and final theory, we have that it's just Cybertronian magic. And honestly, this is like the cheapest one to use because I find it the less interesting. But let's just say that Dropkick found a way to like atomize someone by, you know, changing the atoms inside of them and turning them into liquid. Which I guess that could be the case. We could say that Dropkick's gun could be like a weapon that changes atoms, because the human body, the flesh, the eyes, everything just turns into liquid. And not only does that liquid not turn into gas, but it also doesn't burn the people around him. So this means that Dropkick's weapon actually changes the atoms or like the particles around people and transforms them into something else. Maybe he could make like the water inside someone burst, which I guess that makes sense, because imagine having your skull, your organs just turn into liquid. All that extra liquid around your body will probably make you burst, which is just what happens. And that also explains how the lady that was right next to the redneck guy wasn't burned by the liquid. And that also explains how Bumblebee was affected by the gun. I mean, Transformers have electricity, metal parts, and you know, who knows what other stuff they have inside them. All the Dropkick needs to do is to like move around some of the particles inside of him, like cause some heat there and some extra heat there, and you know, make the whole thing burn to create an explosion inside of him. Which I guess it does make sense, and I think this is the most likely explanation here. I do like the heat ray and the plasma theory better because of their scientific background, but I guess this theory just makes the most sense to me. But anyways guys, that's just a theory and I would like to hear from you guys. What team are you? Are you hashtag plasma theory, hashtag heat rate theory, or hashtag atomized theory? Make sure to vote in the comments down below which theory do you believe is the most scientifically sound. I personally think that the third theory is the most scientific, well, it's not the most scientifically sound, but it's the one that makes the most sense. The other two are more scientifically sound, but they are not 100% accurate. So yeah, I just want to read your opinions in the comments down below and all that jazz. If you have a different theory than mine, then feel free to share it in the comments down below. I might do a part 2 to this video if, you know, we get some official statements or if we come to a pretty accurate and scientifically sound conclusion, but we'll see. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe guys.